The first European major in Pokemon Champions took place in Turin last weekend, and it was taken over by a team that nobody saw coming. The bulk of this team looks pretty standard, with a core of Kingambit, Sneasler, and Basculegion, which we've all seen before, backed up by Mega Frostlass, Mega Scovillain, which is a little less usual, and then the real standout on this team is Dusk form Lycanroc. Lycanroc's midday form has seen a bit of use in the past thanks to its ability Sandrush, pairing next to Tyranitar, but there's no weather setters in sight apart from Frostlass, which Lycanroc doesn't really benefit from. So what's it doing on this team? The team's conversion rate at Turin was unbelievably high, with 8 players bringing it in total, and their placements being 5th, 6th, 10th, 18th, 38th, 43rd, 129th, and 253rd, in a field of over 900 players. Like I said though, the core 4 of this team is pretty standard, so why did this particular composition do so well? The thing with the core of Sneasler, Basculegion, and Kingambit is that they don't really like facing off against Charizard Y very much, but both Lycanroc and Scovillain are very good into the Floette Charizard Y compositions that we see very commonly. Rock is a very good offensive type in a format that's currently seeing a lot of play from Fire and Flying type Pokemon, but why use Lycanroc over other Rock types? So Aerodactyl's had a lot of success on these team compositions before. It's faster than Lycanroc, it hits not quite as hard, but almost as hard with its Rock Slides, and it has access to Flying type moves to hit through Pokemon like Sneasler. Well, Lycanroc has a couple of things that set it apart. First of which is its access to Accelerock, which is a priority Rock-type move, and in fact it is the only priority Rock-type move in the game. This means that teams that want to set up Charizard Y with Tailwind, for example, can't really benefit that much from it because Accelerock is always threatening to just OHKO the Charizard anyway, and Accelerock also means that Lycanroc matches up quite well into Aerodactyl itself, because Aerodactyl often runs the Focus Sash item, so it'll survive the first Rock Slide, and then maybe get a Tailwind up, but then you can just pick off the Aerodactyl with an Accelerock. The second key thing that Lycanroc has that other Rock types don't is access to Tough Claws boosted close combat. So the Charizard Y Floette teams will often have a Kingambit on them, which is where something like Aerodactyl can fall a little bit short, because with Rock and Flying type coverage, you just can't really hit Kingambit. On the contrary, a Tough Claws boosted close combat will one-shot Kingambit, it'll do a big chunk to Incineroar as well, which is picking up at the moment, as well as just generally threatening big single-target neutral damage. The other Pokemon that's a little bit less usual is the Mega Scovillain, which is a Pokemon that's seen some play before, but isn't immensely common. Mega Scovillain is very good into the very physical-heavy format we have at the moment, with Pokemon like Sneasler, Kingambit, and Basculegion being all over the place, with Scovillain's Spicy Spray ability able to spread burns around against all of them. It also provides redirection for the Swords Dance Kingambit on this team. It provides Fire-type coverage to hit through Steel types, which something like Frostlass can struggle with a little bit. It also means that both of your Mega Pokemon in Frostlass and Scovillain can hit Sinistra for super effective damage, which is a Pokemon that the faster threats on this team, like Sneasler, Lycanroc, and in some situations Basculegion, can kind of struggle to break through. Having seen how well an interesting team like this did at Turin, I wanted to give it a try myself, so I went through all the stream games that featured this team, and to the best of my ability, I have reconstructed this team in-game myself. So let's have a look at the sets that these Pokemon are running. Because all of these Pokemon were featured on stream at some point, we know all of their HP stats for certain. The rest of the stats I've kind of intuited from damage calculations, the Pokemon's roles on the team, and this is what I've come up with. So first up we have Mega Frostlass. We saw the HP stat on stream, as I mentioned. We also saw a couple of defensive calculations that made me think there wasn't really much or any investment in either of the defensive stats. So I've just assumed here that it's hit a special attack bump. What I mean when I say there's a bump is that when a Pokemon has a nature that boosts a certain stat, so in this case, Frostlass's Modest Nature boosts its special attack stat, there'll be certain stat point thresholds that increase the special attack stat by 2 rather than by 1. So in this case, for example, if Frostlass had 8 stat points in special attack, that would be 184 as its stat. Increase that by 1 up to 9 stat points invested, and the stat goes up by 1 as well, up to 185. But if we increase by 1 more stat point up to 10, that special attack goes up to 187 rather than 186. So that's what I mean when I say we're hitting a bump. And when I put the special attack at this bump for Frostlass, that gives me exactly enough points to give it max speed stat with a Modest Nature. This lets it outspeed things like Garchomp is a very important one. This team doesn't have any ground resists on it, so having a Pokemon that is faster than all Garchomps and can one-shot it with Blizzard is very important, I think. Plus, Mega Frostlass will outspeed Adamant Sneaslers, which is quite important. A lot of Sneaslers are going Adamant at the moment rather than Jolly Nature, so Frostlass can outspeed those. I think max speed just makes a lot of sense, so this is my best guess at the Frostlass set. And the moves we're seeing: Blizzard, Shadow Ball, Aurora Veil, and Protect, very standard. So next I'm actually going to talk about Basculegion. This Basculegion is built very peculiarly, let's say. It's not a very standard Basculegion build. So Citrus Berry Basket Legion is a thing that's been picking up, but this one in particular I believe is running a lot of bulk. Looking at the amount of damage Basket Legion did over the course of its stream games, I figured that the attack investment was somewhere around 18, which is where there is an attack bump for Basket Legion, so I figured it's probably just 18. So I've put its attack once again at an attack bump. So we saw on stream that this Basket Legion has 24 points invested in its HP, and then I've put 21 points in defense, which lets it live a Sucker Punch from a Black Glass's King Gambit, which seems quite relevant, and I've dumped the rest in special defense. It looks a little bit odd to not have any speed investment on Basket Legion, but we did see in one of the games on stream that Basket Legion on this team is in fact slower than Scovillain, which was very important for a particular interaction where Scovillain was able to move before Basket Legion to one-hit KO a Sinister, which was trying to Rage Powder away Basket Legion's Wave Crash. Basket Legion was then able to Wave Crash into the Delphox that was next to Sinister and one-shot that. So I imagine that is pretty much the exact scenario that speed interaction was decided on for, which I think is a very interesting piece of team building. That then naturally brings us on to Scovillain, who is built very bulky, which is pretty standard for how you build Scovillains at the moment. The interesting thing here is the 4 speed, which is the amount of speed needed to outspeed your own Basket Legion on this team. We didn't actually see a huge amount of defensive calcs from this Scovillain on stream. We did see that it was max HP, and on the open team sheet, we saw that it has a bold nature which boosts its defense. So I just put its defense at a middling bump and then bump the rest in special defense. Next up, we've got our King Gambit. Not a huge amount to say about this one. It is a Swords Dance set on this team. A lot of King Gambits at the moment are running 3 attacks, because you want the steel coverage, for example, to hit Float, and you also want Kowtow Cleave, and you want Sucker Punch for priority. But this team with Sneasler, with Scovillain, with Frost Ascetic of Aurora Veil, you're not as scared of Float, so going Swords Dance and 2 Dark moves just gives King Gambit the potential to clean up late games or become a really, really powerful early game threat if you can get Swords Dance up. Nothing much to say about the CV spread. We saw it was max HP on stream, so I just did max HP, max attack, 2 special defense. Next up is Sneasler, and this EV spread is a little bit weird on first glance, but it is something that people have been using quite a lot. This is a reasonably standard EV spread. So we saw on stream that Sneasler had 18 points invested in its HP, and we also saw it take a couple of physical hits that implied that it had quite a lot of physical defense investment. So with that information, I've just taken a pretty standard spread that fits those criteria of 18 HP, 31 defense means it always lives an Adamant Sharp Beak, Talonflame Dual Wing Beat, and then the rest of the stat points you just dump into speed, which lets it outspeed things like Modest Floette, Modest Charizard Y, Adamant Garchomp. We've seen things like Jolly Hisuian Arcanine, Timid Vivian popping up recently. This lets you outspeed those as well. And then, interestingly enough, going with 0 stat points in attack, but an Adamant Nature actually puts you at a bump. So if you somehow manage to have -1 stat points in Sneasler's attack, it would have 2 less attack than it has when it has 0 investment. Now this Sneasler set is very standard. You're running a White Herb, which lets you, for example, ignore 1 Intimidate drop, or reset your defense drops from close combat. But most importantly, once that White Herb is used up, your Unburden ability activates and doubles the Sneasler's speed. And then Close Combat, Protect, and Fake Out are all very standard. You'll see them on the majority of Sneasler sets. The one slightly more unusual move choice on this set is Gunk Shot over Diaclaw as the poison move of choice. With no investment in its attack stat, Diaclaw doesn't actually hit very hard. It's only base 80 power. And Pokemon like Floette and Sylveon are mostly built to be able to survive that hit now. Whereas Gunk Shot, which is 50% stronger than Diaclaw is just going to KO those 100% of the time, basically. Well, 80% of the time, because you have to actually hit the move. But if it lands, that's KOing them 100% of the time. And just having that immediate damage threat is really valuable for this team, even if you don't actually click Gunk Shot. Your opponent knowing that you can click Gunk Shot can change how they play the game, and it's also very satisfying just to one-shot a Floette. And then the last Pokemon on this team, the one that everyone's been talking about, is Lycanroc Duskfall. Lycanroc is a very squishy Pokemon. Its defenses are pretty poor, so you run a Focus Sash on this just so it can survive at least 1 hit, and that allows it to fire off a couple of powerful moves. Its primary stab move is going to be Rock Slide. Rock Slide, famously one of the best moves in the game, 30% flinch chance on both Pokemon off of a Pokemon with good base speed. Very annoying. Rock a good offensive type. It can KO Charizard around redirection. Fantastic move. However, it's not Lycanroc's most powerful move, and it's not particularly close. Lycanroc has the ability Tough Claws, which boosts the power of contact moves by 30%, which means that its close combat is doing way more damage than its Rock Slide. So if you want a big single target hit with Lycanroc, especially one that can't miss, close combat's kind of the go-to attack here. And I kind of mentioned that earlier in the video with being able to hit King Gambit, being able to hit Incineroar for more damage. That close combat is very scary. Acceleroc is also a contact move, meaning it gets that Tough Claws boost, which means Lycanroc has access to a very, very powerful rock-type priority attack. This is incredibly valuable for picking off focus sashes, for hitting things like Delphox, for powerful priority damage, for getting around things like Basculete and Aquajet, getting around King Gambit's Sucker Punch. You've also got a priority move that cannot miss that can one-hit KO Mega Charizard Y, which is a threat that Charizard players have to be on the lookout for at all times. I don't imagine Lycanroc comes to that many matchups. In fact, we only saw it on stream at Turin for one game, despite this team being featured, I think, 4 times. But for the matchups it does come to, that being mostly probably the Charizard Y Floette balance teams, it is very well suited to breaking through those with its combination of rock and fighting type attacks and its good speed stat. So in terms of how the team plays as a whole, there aren't really any defining strategies. It's just very flexible, and there's a lot of small synergies within the team that help it to function. So the 2 Megas, for example, both act as strong offensive pieces with Overheat Blizzard, but also synergize nicely with the rest of the team. Scoville providing redirection for King Gambit to set up Sword Stances, for example, spreading around burns. Frostlass obviously also has the ability to set up Aurora Veil, and those can be capitalized on very well by the very bulky Basculete on this team, and, like I said, the King Gambit, with its natural bulk and its ability to set up Swords Dance. Sneasler's Fake Out also means you can get setup opportunities with King Gambit. This team is also heavily physical, with its only 2 special attackers being its Megas, which means that realistically you're bringing a maximum of 1 special attacker to each game, because Frostlass and Scoville are both Pokemon that can't really function outside of Mega, so you're never really going to be bringing both of them. But the specific physical Pokemon that you're using help to mitigate some of the issues you'd normally face with such a physical team. So King Gambit having Swords Dance means that physically bulky Pokemon can't just sit in front of this team. Like, once King Gambit has a Swords Dance up, you can't really wall it. Late game Basculegion as well, with Last Respects, is very similar. You can't usually just kind of put something in front of it and tank its attacks. With 4 physical attackers, you'd think that Incineroar would be a bit of a problem, especially given that neither of your Megas really want to fight an Incineroar. But then Sneasler's got White Herb and Close Combat. King Gambit's got Defiant. Basculegion and Lycanroc can both hit Incineroar for super effective damage, and Basculegion's immune to Fake Out. So Incineroar is good into this team, but at the same time, the team has a lot of options for getting around something that would normally be very annoying for 4 physical attackers and 2 Megas that can't hit an Incineroar. One major thing this team is lacking is speed control. You've not got Icy Wind, you've not got Tailwind, you've not got Trick from Anywhere. But that's somewhat mitigated by Sneasler's Unburdened ability, meaning that it can go very, very fast just by itself, and the fact that you've got a lot of strong priority attackers. So King Gambit Black Glass's Sucker Punch is doing a lot of damage, Basculegion Adaptability boosted Aquajet is doing a lot of damage, Lycanroc Tough Claws boosted Acceleroc is doing a lot of damage. It's a lot of priority moves with big multipliers on them, which gives you a way of getting around the faster, usually less bulky teams. That said, I think there are some teams that can cause issues for this composition, and one example is going to be teams with speed control that have Farigiraf. So one of the main ways to get around opposing speed control on this team is all of those strong priority attacks that we mentioned. But Farigiraf's Armor Tail ability means that none of those will work. So you do still have options to try and mitigate damage with Aurora Veil or with Scovillain's Spicy Spray, but if your opponent gets speed control and you're always moving second because you can't use your priority moves, then you're always going to be a bit on the back foot, especially into compositions that use Torkoal, for example. Farigiraf Torkoal, I think, is a very difficult board position for this team to get through if your opponent is able to set it up. And the other main composition that gave this team trouble at Turin were the setup Delphox teams, which fell off a little bit, but have had a bit of a resurgence at Turin, placing 2nd and 3rd. And these teams both have a common core of Incineroar, Delphox, and Sinistcha, based around getting nasty plots up with Delphox, then paired with varying degrees of extra support like Sneasler for extra fake outs, or another one of the teams had Mousehold and Vivian as extra redirection users. And with this particular 6, it's very difficult to hit Delphox around redirection because Lycanroc is slower than Delphox, Frostlass has access to spread damage, but Blizzards aren't really doing anything to Delphox at all, and Delphox hits everything on this team for at least neutral with either Heat Wave or Psyshock. So those kind of Protect the President teams built around Mega Delphox are a problem for this team. And the other thing that popped up as a bit of an issue was Garchomp Charizard Y teams. That matchup isn't necessarily bad, but it's difficult to navigate because obviously you want to use your Frostlass to get through the Garchomp, but then Frostlass doesn't want to face off against Charizard, and you want to use your Lycanroc to get through the Charizard, but Lycanroc doesn't want to face off against Garchomp, and it kind of goes in circles a little bit. The matchup isn't necessarily skewed one way or the other, I don't think, but it's one that can be very difficult to get through. And in fact, of the 3 players who made top cut with this team at Turin, 2 of them were knocked out by setup Delphox, and 1 of them was knocked out by Garchomp Charizard, with Garchomp Charizard also being the only loss in the Swiss rounds for Lorenzo Profeta, who got 5th. So this team definitely has some problem matchups here and there, but I think it's a really cool tech to bring Lycanroc to a major, and especially to see it convert so well. If you're interested in using this team yourself, I will put a replica code on screen now so you can get it in-game nice and easily. I also want to give this team a go. I think it looks really interesting. So I'm going to jump into a few ranked battles. Okay, well, our first match is against, like, the team that I said in my kind of breakdown of the Lycanroc team was a very bad matchup, and I think that remains true. Like, all my Megas feel kind of bad here. I'll be so real with you. I think I kind of prefer Scovillain to Frostlass. I think Scovillain could be worse. I mean, Frostlass at least has Shadow Ball, but it just dies to a Heat Wave is the problem. I think the game plan here is always going to be trying to enable the, like, Basket Legion stuff. There's no priority blocking here as well. I think Sneasler's kind of a dead slot here. I don't really like... Well, I guess Sneasler's good into... Sneasler's good into the Floette. If I don't bring Sneasler... No, there's no way they don't bring Delphox to me here. I think I'm gonna hard call that they're going for the Delphox mode, and I'm gonna go double priority back end. Which is risky, but I think it's kind of worth it. Okay, double fire lead from my opponent. I don't hate my lead here, because I have the option of going for, like, Rage Powder and just Wave Crash into the Delphox. I think is alright. I could also try and get rid of the Incin early. It feels so obvious here for them to go for, like, Protect and switch in, or, like, Protect and pass and turn to Sinister. There's the Mega. I can see this being Protect. Okay, I get my Mega. Yeah, if they parting shot the Scovillain here, then I can't go for the Overheat play next turn to clear the Cinny, is the issue. Yeah. Yeah, that was obvious. I could have double protected there, potentially, to get around that. But the issue with double protect there is if they go for nasty plot, I am in a horrible spot. Okay. I'm assuming Scovillain's going to eat a parting shot here, and it's going to be Sinister coming in. Oh, no, they do just throw chop. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's super fine, actually. Hold on. I think I just do it again, right? What do they have in the back that comes in on a Wave Crash? Not much, right? I guess they could... No, they don't let me hit their Delphox here, I don't think. I'm going to make a call here that Sinister's going to come in on the Delphox slot. Yeah. Okay, Delphox goes out. Because they're not just going to let me hit that. And it is Sinister, presumably. Just to say Irish Coffee feels like it's going to be Sinister. Okay, Rage Powder. Do you get the Wave Crash into Incin here? This is a -1, so it's not going to KO. But this is still going to be a fat chunk of damage. Oh, yeah, they're Pasho Berry on this team, aren't they? I mean, breaking the Pasho Berry here doesn't make much difference, to be honest. It's like, okay, well, they're dead to the next one instead. That's fine. Take a bit of recoil, which is not ideal, but it's not the worst. They go for a jump again. And now, this is where we see the interaction that I was talking about before coming in, where, because my Scovillain's faster than Basket Legion, I can overheat the Cinny and Wave Crash the Incin. So even if they Rage Powder, I still get around that. So Incin's just kind of pinned here. Well, it's pinned 90% of the time. Yeah, there's the Rage Powder, perfect. This is exactly what I was talking about. So if we hit this overheat, we're in good position. Lovely, good job, Scovillain. There you go, and that's exactly why this speed interaction is important on this team. So now I get rid of their Sinister, I get rid of their Intimidate, which means the Lycanroc in the back is looking very nice. Because now I'm just threatening Rock Slides into the Delphox forever. I honestly could just stay with Basket Legion here. Alright, it's Delphox Mouse Hold back end. That's pretty much what I was expecting. Do I just swing damage at the mouse? I kind of don't hate it, honestly. Like, my backend's got the tools to get through the Delphox. I guess I'll swing the Wave Crash at Delphox in case they let me, but it feels unlikely that they let me. Yeah, they go follow me, that's fine. They could Psyshock to KO my Scovillain. Actually, Heatwave might get it as well. Yeah, okay, Heatwave does get it. Basilisk Legion gets Citrus. But yeah, now Lycanroc's in great shape. Okay, Wave Crash, how much we need to mouse at -1? Probably still quite a lot, right? I've seen worse damage. I've seen better damage, but... Now I go to Lycanroc. Now I have a big old close combat into Mouse. And I think I just reset my Intim on Basque. Seems unlikely to go for Heatwave in front of Double Resist. So I'm just going to reset my Intimidate. And now I'm opening up Sucker Punch endgames. Rock Slide here could get me some damage on the Delphox, but I think given that my back 2 mons do just kind of one-shot it, it doesn't really matter if I get damage on Delphox, I just need to clear the Mouse. There's Psyshock into Gambit, yeah. I mean, that's game. I mean, yeah, okay. Close combat. I don't think Chocolberry should save Mousehold from this. This is Tough Claw boosted. I'm adamant. Yeah, you're dead. Alright, well, now I just have Accelerock Sucker Punch until the end of the game. Nice. Okay, we got to show off Scovillain and Lycanroc there, which is fun. And we got to see exactly the interaction I was talking about with the speed orders with Basilisk Legion and Scovillain, which I think is one of the more really interesting parts of this team. Obviously alongside the fact there's a Lycanroc on it, but like that's super cool to see that actually come into play. This is Zard X. Like these comps are always Charizard X. But I can play around that, that's fine. Sneasler's fantastic. Sneasler's real good. I just need to be able to deal with the Sinistra. Although I guess both my Megas do that. I think I prefer Scovillain to Frostlass here, though. Giga Drain on Milo's got Overheat on Cine. Burns the Gambit. I guess I do have an uncontested Aurora Veil here, which might be worth going for. I think I may prefer Aurora Veil, just kind of conceptually here. I think like Frostlass, Sneasler, Basque, Lycanroc seems pretty decent here. I've got a few options to break through the Sinistra. Like, I've got Frostlass, I've got Basque Legion in the back end. I don't think these ones tend to run Cassid Berry. So Last Respects will be able to break through it. But I think like having Accelerock in the back end here against a potentially boosted Zard X is going to be pretty nice. This feels like a good time for me to get an Aurora Veil up. And just, I think I just fake out the Zard, right? Watch, this is going to be secretly Charizard Y, and I'm going to lose the game off the back of this turn 1. No, these Milotic comps are pretty much always Zard X. That's a choice. Okay, I could have blizzarded them. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think this is still fine, though, right? Now I just send a Blizzard. Oop, that's a Shadow Ball. Put it up. Send a Blizzard, and... Can I switch my Sneasler out? I don't hate it. The other option is I just close combat the Charizard, which I think also makes sense. Do we think that close combat into +1 Charizard, potentially +2, on top of a Blizzard will be enough to KO this? The other thing is they could just switch in... no, they can't switch in Sinistra, because then they just get blasted by... Maybe I just... Yeah, I'll combat Blizzard their Sneasler, actually, because they could protect their Zard here. Yeah. So I just want to guarantee that I get my speed boost. What are they going for? Okay, I move first before their Sneasler, which is nice. Does my Sneasler move before their Sneasler, is the question. Oh, it's not going to care from here, is it? Okay, their Sneasler is faster, but I think that's not that relevant here. God, there's nothing behind Aurora Veil. Get that White Herb. Great damage, okay. Now I think I just Blizzard and combat the Zard, right? I don't know how they play around this here. Oh, it's Speed Tide. Sure. And I get crit. Nice. While they still haven't gone for the Mega here. Like, I got a bit lucky with the crit there, obviously. Like, but I don't think that makes that much, because, like, well, I guess, yeah. I guess they resist the combat. Blizzard's still doing a lot of damage, and then have combat next turn. Yeah, that's going to be game over. Yeah, I don't know about my opponent's lead there. back up against the same Vivian team. Like the Vivian Delphox stuff. What did we do against this last time? I mean, last time we went Scoville and Basket Legion, it worked out alright. That was a like, Gambit, Lycanroc back end. I think I'm happy to run that again. It's a little bit boring to have the same opposing team twice in one video, isn't it? Okay, they go Delphox Vivian lead this time. I think surely that's just fine, right? I guess they can Hurricane my Scoville, which is a little bit awkward. But I think I'm fine with that trade. Am I? Does that make me a bit weak to Sinister back end? Not really. I mean, the Rage Powder is so obvious here. I think I just go Protect. What happens if they Hurricane my Scoville? They Hurricane my Scoville and I trade for Vivian. I think I'm alright with that trade. Yeah, I could Protect here as well, because the Vivian on this team is Scarf. I could scout what they're going for, but I don't want to give them a free Nasty Plot is the thing. Like, giving them a free Nasty Plot here if I go for Double Protect is just really bad for me. Like, if they Hurricane here, then so be it. It's a bit of an obvious play, but I don't think I can necessarily risk having my Gambit go to sleep immediately. That's Rage Powder, so they're not Rage Powdering. Wait, I could just KO their Delphox turn 1? Okay. Sure thing. It is Sleep Powder. Okay, good. Good thing I kept them honest. And there's the Nasty Plot, yeah. Okay. I guess maybe I should just spunk at the Delphox there, to be honest. Okay, Vivian just dies. Is this Sinister coming in? Yeah, it is Sinister. Okay. I think I want to... I have to call where the Delphox is swinging here, right? I think I want to overheat this and switch out Basket Legion into Gambito. Okay, they do Rage Powder. Fine. Perfect. Oh, it's Psychic, not Psy Shock. That's interesting. Overheat comes out. Out of the dead Sinister. Alright. I got turn 1 slightly wrong. I definitely should have just gone for the... well, I say definitely. If they Hurricane my Scoville and I Wave Crash their Delphox and they Protect, then that's a bit awkward. Although I guess in that situation I can just bring in Gambit and I'm kind of cooking. Oh, it's no redirection in the back. And I get my Gambit boost. Oh, hold on. I think this is just game over, isn't it? I think there's no reason for me not to just click Rage Powder and Sucker Punch here. Well, there is on this turn. The reason I don't do it on this turn is because, I mean, yeah, I just Protect and Protect, right? And I click Rage Powder, Sucker Punch for the rest of the game. Fake out, yeah. It's nothing. Heat Wave, yes, fine. And I will Sucker Punch the Delphox. Delphox Protects, that's fine. Rage Powder. They do Flare Blitz. Thing is, if they keep doing this, they will eventually KO my Scoville, and then I get a free switch into Basket Legion, and then Sucker Punch Wave Crash just kills their Insid. Like, I'm pretty sure this game is just over. Okay, we go save again. Rage Powder. They don't protect from Delphox. Is this Nasty Plot is the question. It is. Okay, fine. I just don't care. I've got so many priority moves that just delete this thing. Throat Chop. Fine. Don't care. Like, I want them to KO my Scoville. Sucker Punch. Again. Go on, KO my Insin. Oh, sorry, KO my Scoville. Do it. Rage Powder. Sucker Punch, it's nothing. They Flare Blitz. They KO my Scoville. Perfect. Now I Sucker Punch their Delphox, and I Wave Crash their Incineroar, and then I Sucker Punch their Delphox, and I Wave Crash their Delphox. And I don't get to bring out my... don't get to bring out my Lycanroc, which is unfortunate, but this is just the more guaranteed line. Honestly, Lycanroc probably still would have been fine in this position. I could have brought it out just to bring the Lycanroc, but... Wait, no, I should have done, because this is Pasho Berry Incid. Okay, they just let the Delphox go down. I forgot this is Pasho Berry Incid on this team. I absolutely should have brought Lycanroc, because close combat 100% kills Incid from here. I was playing around the... I was playing around a potential Choppleberry, but that's stupid, because they're not Choppleberry on this team. Kill my Bask, so that I can bring in my Lycanroc and kill you with that. Throat Chop. No! Now they go down to the Flare Blitz recoil. That's sad. Bye-bye, Incin. Alright, well, that was an underwhelming end to the game. I think in hindsight there, given that I kind of know what's on the team, I think in general bringing in Basket Legion there is the correct option. I think, given that I know what this team does, it probably should have been Lycanroc just to close combat the Incin. Because it turns out close combat wasn't actually a guaranteed KO there if they were physically defensive Incin. If they weren't, if they were careful nature, I actually can't remember what the nature was on this team in Turin. but if they were like impish and had a decent amount of physical bulk, they can live that close combat, which would have been a little bit embarrassing for our guy Lycanroc. Like, the thing that makes that matchup difficult is the a million redirectors, I think. I think bringing Mousehold and Sinister does make sense. I don't really know if I like Vivian for that. I also did just get a couple of calls correct on the first 2 turns. Like, I called that they were going to go Sleep Powder, and then I called that they were going to go for a Psychic Move into my Massacre Legion. And those were the 2 things that kind of sealed the game for me. So in another world, if I get those calls wrong, I'm in a significantly worse position. So you can kind of see how this match is a bit awkward. Okay, we're going to do one more, because we had one game earlier where I didn't really get to show off the Lycanroc Scoveland stuff at all, and then the last game I played was just exactly the same 6 as game 1, but again. Okay, we've got Farigiraf Trick Room stuff again. A lot of Farigirafs today. Can I just do the same as I did last time? They have redirect. They have no redirection and no fake out. So how do they stop me from Kowtow cleaving them? They stop me Kowtow cleaving them with Gallade. How do I stop Gallade? I stop Gallade with Scoveland. Yeah, I don't think Frostlass is really it here, is it? Into, like, Gambit, Camerupt. I'm not KOing the Gallade with anything from Frostlass. So I think Scoville and Gambit just means they can't really stop me from just Kowtow cleaving there for Rig turn 1. Which I think is a pretty good position to be in. And then I bring Bask Sneeze or Bask Lycanroc. I kind of like having the Sash here, to be honest. Yeah, I think the Sash in Trick Room makes a lot of difference. And it's the Lycanroc video. I'll bring Lycanroc. Okay, it is for a Gallade, which is what I was expecting. But I think now I have no reason not to just go for Rage Powder. Do I Kowtow? I could even go Swords Dance here, honestly. I Rage Powder, I burn the Gallade. I could Swords Dance. Do I have any value on that? Because if they're like Colma Berry on Farig. No, I think I don't get greedy. I think I don't get greedy. I will Rage Powder and I will... Is it really that greedy though? Because like, if they set TR, then I'm threatening to just kill the Gallade next turn. Yeah, I think Swords Dance is fine. Oh, they're helping him. Okay, Swords Dance was great. This is a burned Gallade. Rage Powder. Sacred. I do lose my Scoville in here, but there's a big time upside, which is that if they are Sash Gallade, the Sash is now broken. I do Swords Dance. Then I get TR this turn. The downside is that because my Basket Legion is so slow, their Gallade could well be faster. Because Gallade does naturally have higher speed than Basket Legion, and I have 0 speed investment. Which is something I need to be wary of. So I think I actually just go to Last Respects into Gallade here and Protect in case they are fast. Well, no, I've put myself in a hole here. I think I just have to hope they're Min-Speed Gallade. I don't think they are Min-Speed Gallade. No, I'm going to Protect. Okay, they are faster, so Protect there was actually kind of worth it. Wait, no, if I'm calling them set in Trick Room, I shouldn't have actually gone for the Protect there. I should have gone for Wave Crash into the Farig. Oh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. That should have been Wave Crash Farig, because they're obviously going to set Trick Room here. So we should have Wave Crashed the Farig, they set up Trick Room, King Gambit then KOs the Gallade next turn instead, and I Wave Crashed the Farigiraf again. Actually, no, other way around, because I would have confirmed that my Basket Legion was slower at that point. So yeah, I should have gone Wave Crash into Farigiraf and then just gone for swing at the Gallade next turn, because now they're just getting Camerupt, right? Ooh, interesting. Seems like they might not have Camerupt here. Although I think I also just don't break the Gambit now. Yeah, I misplayed my... I got my sequencing wrong here. I think now it's just cool where the King Gambit swings. Okay, they Kowtow me. I thought they'd go after my Gambit there, I'll be so real with you. I thought they'd go after my Gambit because my Basket Legion has access to protect that turn and my Gambit does not. Kowtow, this is Colma Berry. Okay, so my turn on Kowtow wouldn't have done anything anyway, but this will kill anyway. That lived? I'm at +2. Jesus, okay, well that's a problem. Sunny day. I think it's reasonable that their King Gambit does not have a fighting move. I think that's not an unreasonable gamble for me to make. This feels very low-kicky to me. This feels very low-kicky. Oh, it's Ironhead. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm so dumb, because my King Gambit's slower than their Farig. I should have just gone for close combat and, I should have just gone... If I'm calling they're going to go after my Lycanroc, I should have always just gone for close combat and... Kowtow there, because I'm slower than their Farig, so I kill their Farig before it hits my guy, and I always just kill them through the protect. That was stupid. It is Camerupt. Well, now it's a case of does Lycanroc plus Sucker get the camera up? I think it's just what I'm playing for here. Like, my Gambit beats their Gambit 1v1, I'm pretty sure. Because it seems like they're going to be slower than me once Stricken goes down, and they're going to be Iron Head double Dark move. I guess it's possible they have low kick. Sucker Punch. Show me the damage. Oh, it just kills. Ah, I was hoping I'd get Lycanroc value. It's the first time I've seen that animation. Okay. The Iron Head me. It's fine. I would have flinched there anyway, so the Lycanroc's actually optimal. And I win. Okay. Nice. Yeah, this team is very fun. I actually got a lot of value out of Lycanroc in these last few games. I wasn't expecting to bring it as much as I did. Same with Scovillain, actually. I guess I just ran into the matchups I needed to for those. I did run into the Delphox, Incineroar, Sinister stuff twice. But yeah, I got good value out of Scovillain. I think every piece on the team kind of showed what it does at some point in all these battles. Are there any of them I didn't bring? No, I think I brought all of them, didn't I? All in all, this team was very fun. I would highly recommend it. I was a little surprised, actually, with how much work the Lycanroc was doing. I did bring it to most of the games. I don't think I brought it to all the games. Maybe it was on all the games that I'll put in the video. But either way, I was very impressed with how many games it came to and how much work it was doing. Scovillain was good as well. I think, again, it was really interesting, the speed interaction between Scovillain and Basculegion. We saw that come into play in one of the games there. I think it is genuinely a very inspired piece of team building to kind of foresee that interaction, go for no speed investment on the Basculegion, and go for 4 speed investment on the Scovillain, which you don't often see. You don't really see any speed investment on Scovillain usually, just to be able to clear out Sinisters before they can redirect stuff. That was really interesting, and I'm glad that I got to show it off in this video. I would strongly recommend this team for anyone who's looking to have a bit of fun with the last few days of Regulation M-A. I will put the replica code on screen again now, so you guys can jot that down if you want to give it a go yourself. But that is all for this video for now. I really enjoyed using this team. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching me use this team. I think the battles were pretty fun. If you did enjoy, please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more battle videos, then let me know in the comments as well. I haven't done battle videos in a while. I've been trying to focus more on kind of scripted stuff. But if you're interested in seeing me kind of pilot and show off a few more teams, then please do let me know, because this kind of content would be a lot of fun for me to put out if that's something you guys are interested in. This will probably be it for my Regulation M-A content. Regulation M-B is starting very soon, so keep your eye out for more content from me on that front. But that is all for this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.